Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. This is going to be a long video, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to be here for a while, a long while. So I hope you're all ready, hope you're all buckled up, hope you're all ready to go. Why? Because this video thing, we'll get right into it. This is from a channel called Savox. I want to say his name is. I might be wrong. If I said it wrong, I apologize. But this is 13 horrifying incidents that happened live. This is 42 minutes long, so we're going to be in here for a while. But we're going to get right into this. Hit the like button, hit subscribe button. Let's go.
Anything can happen live. No matter how many safety precautions you take or how many times you rehearse something, things can always go wrong. Some live events end in serious or life-changing injuries, and some can even end in a person's death. So here are 13 horrifying incidents that happened live. Chick Garibaldi. Charles Kokeru was an American professional wrestler, better known by his ring name, Chick Garibaldi. He was part of a wrestling family out of St. Louis, Missouri, which included his 4 brothers. Chick faced off against some of wrestling's greats like Stu Hart, Rip Hawk, Freddie Blassie, and Dick Steinborn. The majority of Chick's career...
I have literally heard of Freddie Blassie out of all this. I'm a wrestling fan. I know what the Natural Wrestling Alliance is. I have a channel dedicated to wrestling. Oh, I knew Stu Hart too. What am I saying? I know Stu Hart. So I knew 2 out of the 4 names. I don't know who this is, so I'm curious what this is going to be. Apologize for free. That's one thing, wrestling fan thing. I am a fan of wrestling, so I would like to react to wrestling stuff, but I feel like I have another channel for that. Let me know what you guys think on that.
Career was wrestling throughout the National Wrestling Alliance and their various territories, but it was with Capital Wrestling Corporation run by Vince McMahon Sr., where Chick met his untimely end.
The reason wrestling the way it is, Vince Sr. and Vince Jr., so thank you for that.
On February...
I'm sorry, you're going to see wrestling fans just... The wrestling fan in me is going to come right out, especially with this man, Bruno Sammartino, longest reigning wrestling champ of all time. No one's going to touch him, my man.
February 18th, 1961, Garibaldi was set to wrestle a young Bruno Sammartino in a singles match. It seemed to be a pretty straightforward exhibition match until Bruno performed a scoop slam on Garibaldi. When Garibaldi hit the mat, Sammartino noticed that he wasn't selling the move and simply lay still. At this point, he also noticed that Garibaldi was rolling his eyes and making a strange noise. Sammartino informed the referee, who immediately stopped the match and declared him the winner. Paramedics were called to tend to Garibaldi, but it was too late and he'd already died by the time they got there.
This is Elias. This is a wrestler known as Elias, who's being stretched out right here, who is somehow, storyline, TV-wise, has just died, and his brother shows up and just happens to look exactly like him. It's funny. But, yeah, that's insane. That thing from a scoop slam, just a simple body slam, somehow caused whatever happened to this guy to happen to him to die. I wonder if he gives more details on it.
It was later determined that he died from a heart attack. I can only imagine that Garibaldi must have had some kind of pre-existing undiagnosed heart condition that caused his death, as the scoop slam seems to be one of the safest wrestling moves out there. And
literally anyone can take a scoop slam. If you're training, they'll teach you how to take one. It's the safest move to take. So my guess is he has some sort of heart condition that caused, and then just happened to be doing the scoop slam caused a heart attack. But the move itself is not at fault for it. Yeah, it's one of the safest moves to take.
The only major injury I've ever heard of due to the move is, interestingly enough, Bruno Sammartino suffering a broken neck after he was accidentally dropped on his head in a match with Stan Hansen years after this incident.
Worst things I'd have to say that happened. I'm wrestling Chick Garibaldi in Sunnyside Gardens. Scooped Chick up and gave him this big body slam. I noticed that his body wasn't responding. He lay there limp. But that's not what concerned me. What bothered me was his eyes. I saw his eyes kind of roll back and a weird sound came out of his mouth. Right now the ambulance came, and by the time they came, he was gone. He had died. It was just a regular wrestling move and so forth, but the facts are that Chick Garibaldi did die, and it stayed with me for the longest time.
Tommy Cooper.
That is insane that happened. Okay, I probably won't know who any of these things is. You're going to hear my reaction for this, all of these for the first time, which is going to be really fun, but also it means we're going to be here for a while, because I'm going to pause when I have something to say. Just how it goes. Let's continue.
Tommy Cooper was a legendary Welsh comedian and magician. He stood out from other entertainers of the time due to his large 6'4" frame and his trademark fez hat. His routine mostly revolved around performing magic tricks that he'd fail in a comedic manner. His career began in 1948 after he'd served in the army and quickly took off, with him becoming one of the most popular and in-demand comedians in the UK thanks to his television appearances on the BBC. By the 1970s,
He looks like a very interesting. I bet you he was entertained at the time when he was doing his stuff. I bet he was.
he'd become one of the most famous and recognizable comedians in the world. Despite coming across as very confident in his act, Cooper actually suffered from stage fright and would drink before performances to help calm his nerves.
What? How does a guy with stage fright constantly perform on stage like that? That's always curious to me. How do people with stage fright perform so easily? Because we've seen, it's not, he's not the first to have stage fright while performing, and they do it on a consistent basis. How do people do it? I've never understood it. It baffles me.
His alcoholism led to major problems with his performances, with many people who booked him complaining that he would show up late to shows and rush through them in 5 minutes. The drinking had also led to numerous health problems, including poor circulation in his legs. At one point, his drinking had gotten so bad that he had forgotten to set the safety latch on a guillotine illusion trick he was performing with Michael Parkinson, which would have most likely killed the latter were it not for intervention by the floor manager. He was also a heavy smoker.
So this guy's drinking, but he's reckless while he's drinking. So he's taking a thing. He has a guillotine like trick thing he's gonna do, but he forgot to put the latch on it. So it could have killed him if the floor manager had not seen the fact it's on there. Wow. That's scary for him to be doing. I wouldn't let him on stage if he's like that. That's dangerous.
Sometimes smoking up to 40 cigars a day. In 1977, he suffered a heart attack while performing a show in Rome. He recovered and was back performing again 3 months later. By the 1980s, however, his drinking and unreliability had made it so networks wouldn't give him his own show anymore, and he was relegated to making guest appearances. On April 15, 1984, Cooper was performing as part of the television show Live from Her Majesty's. Towards the end of the routine, a female assistant helped Cooper put on his robe, with him giving the audience a humorously suggestive look when she was tying the robe around his waist. However, at this moment, Cooper suddenly fell over backwards and sat on the floor breathing heavily, while the audience, believing this was part of the act, continued laughing as he writhed on the floor on his back.
This is what's scary, is that he's a comedian. He does things to himself. He physically does things to himself for laughs. That's what makes this so scary, is that because of the fact they don't know he's not acting, that this is not part of his act, because they don't know this, they're laughing. As this guy probably dying or having trouble breathing, he's doing that. Like, people are gonna think, oh, they're insensitive. No, they don't know that's happening. If they knew it, they would not laugh. If they do, then they're insensitive and they're horrible people. But the fact that he does physical things, they see him laughing and like falling on the floor and that, they just think it's him being him because he does weird stuff and physical stuff to himself. That's what makes something like this so insane to me. It's insane.
Eventually, the crew realized that something was wrong and cut to a commercial break. When it became obvious that Cooper had suffered a heart attack, the crew attempted to save him as the show continued, with his shape still being visible behind the curtain. He was rushed to the hospital, but was pronounced dead on arrival. He was 60.
Oh my god, could you imagine being the people who watched that show live, who were there in the audience, and once you realize you have seen the death of that dude and you didn't know that and you were laughing? That's gotta mess your head up, right? That's gotta mess your head up, I would think.
63 years old. Cooper's death is easily one of the darkest moments in British television history, and for the people in the audience that night, and for the viewers watching at home, the fact that they witnessed a man's death live on stage has most likely never left them. Sid James. Sid James was a British comedic actor who rose to fame between the 1950s and 1970s. Though he appeared in many films and television series in the 50s, it was in the Carry On film series where he truly rose to prominence, as he arguably became the face of the entire series, receiving top billing in 17 of the 19 films he appeared in. Sid was also well known for his vices, being a hopeless gambling addict who lost tens of thousands of pounds and was also a heavy smoker and drinker, though after suffering a heart attack, he quit smoking cigarettes and switched to an occasional cigar and greatly cut down on his drinking. By the 1970s, the Carry On films had fallen out of favour with the British audiences, which led to most of the cast having difficulty finding work. In 1976,
I don't know why it just repeated itself like that.
Sid was one of the cast members on the tour of a comedic play called The Mating Season. The tour did rather poorly, playing to crowds much smaller than what the venues could hold. On April 26th, the tour came to the Sunderland Empire Theatre, where the play would be performed to an audience of around 400 people, in a venue that could hold over 2,000. 15 minutes...
Ooh, that sucks, man. Can we play only 200 people show up and the place can fill 2,000? You'll see the empty seats everywhere. Oh my god, that's gotta freak with you mentally, man. That's gotta make you question everything about yourself. Oh man, that would freak me up, bro.
As part of the show, actress Olga Lowe sprayed a perfume bottle under James's nose, after which he gasped for air and fell back onto the sofa behind him. Naturally, the audience and the cast all thought Sid was playing for laughs and found this amusing. He said his next line, but immediately following this, his head slumped over and his eyes rolled into the back of his head. The crew, realizing something was wrong, closed the curtain and asked if there was...
Wow.
The doctor in the audience, to which they, believing this was all part of the show, laughed. An ambulance arrived.
Another thing, man, a comedian that has something happen to him live, everything's just a part of the show now. Unfortunately, that's how stupid some people are, where you're like, hey, is there a doctor here, this guy needs help, they just start laughing because they think it's funny. They think it's part of the show. It's wrong. It's wrong for them to do that, but you can't get mad at them for that because they don't know the difference. They don't know any better. They don't know any better, so it's man. That sucks, man. That sucks for that dude.
And took him to the local hospital, but he was pronounced dead on arrival after suffering a heart attack. He was 62 years old.
Dang, he suffered a heart attack too. Wow. I feel like once you hit the issue where you have a heart or you're old, like, if the possibility for a heart attack's there for you, just don't be on TV. Just don't be on TV in that. That way the pressure's not on you. I know it's a thing people love to do and they come back to it because they love to do it. But there's just some things, man, you just don't, I avoid, just so your health and the pressure of it doesn't cause your health worse.
Bud Dwyer. Robert Bud Dwyer was an American politician who served as the 30th state treasurer of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He served from 1965 to 1971 as a Republican member of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, and from 1971 to 1981 as a member of the Pennsylvania State Senate representing the state's 50th district. In the early 80s, Pennsylvania discovered its state workers had overpaid federal taxes due to errors in state withholding prior to Dwyer's administration. A multi-million-dollar recovery contract was required to determine the compensation to be given to each employee. In 1986, Dwyer was convicted for accepting a bribe from the California firm that won the contract. He was...
What? So this guy who's representing the Senate and all that, they find out he accepted a bribe for people who want a contract to decide how much employees would be paid. Which probably fixed them up because they might be people who would want to do it less so they don't have to pay as much. Oh, that's gonna... that's not good. That's not good, Dwyer. Shouldn't be doing that, my friend. You got convicted for it. It's your fault.
Was found guilty on 11 counts of conspiracy, mail fraud, perjury, and interstate transportation in aid of racketeering, and was scheduled to be sentenced on January 23, 1987. Dwyer insisted he was innocent throughout his entire trial, and had even written to the United States Senate and even President Ronald Reagan for aid, but to no avail. On January 22, 1987, Dwyer called for a press conference where he was expected to resign. He gave a speech once again professing his innocence.
I thank the good Lord for giving me 47 years of exciting challenges, stimulating experiences, many happy occasions, and most of all, the finest wife and children any man could ever desire. Now my life has changed for no apparent reason. People who call and write are exasperated and feel helpless. They know I'm innocent and want to help. But in this nation, the world's greatest democracy, there is nothing they can do to prevent me from being punished for a crime they know I did not commit.
You can see this guy in the background, his face. He doesn't believe, he was probably not aware of what he was going to say, what Bud was going to say, so now because he seems a bit caught off guard by it. And now he's probably trying to figure out, okay, what's the end game here? Like, you're just professing your innocence again, like you're supposed to resign, so get to that part. Get this over with. Resign already. Like they're probably rushing him, just wanting him to get this over with.
Some who have called have said I am a modern-day Job. Judge Muir is also noted for his medieval sentences. I face a maximum sentence of 55 years in prison and a $300,000 fine for being innocent. Judge Muir has already told the press that he, quote, felt invigorated when we were found guilty, and he plans to imprison me as a deterrent to other public officials. But it wouldn't be a deterrent because every public official who knows me knows that I am innocent. It wouldn't be a legitimate punishment because I've done nothing wrong. Since I'm a victim of political persecution, my prison would simply be an American gulag.
After giving 3 of his staffers sealed envelopes, he picked up one more and pulled out a revolver.
What the? No, dude. No. No, dude. What are you about to do? Are you about to take the lives of political people in the room so you could... Thing? Are you gonna do... Is he doing it to himself? My brain is baffled. My brain is in shock. Right now. My brain is in shock. Oh my... I don't know what to think, man. I don't know what to think.
When I no, please leave the room if this will affect you.
Of course they're gonna panic. Don't try to tell them to come down, but you put a revolver in a press conference with media and political people. Of course they're gonna panic. What are you doing, you dumbass? What are you thinking?
Don't, this will hurt someone. Don't do that.
Everyone in the room began panicking as they didn't know what he was about to do. Bud told everyone in the room to stay back, saying he didn't want to hurt anyone. Before anyone had time to act, he turned the gun on himself. As the people in attendance reacted in shock and horror, he died instantly.
Don't panic, please. Show a little decorum, please. Dear God in heaven.
The press conference was filmed in its entirety, and a handful of news stations aired it uncensored.
What the fuck? Don't you... What the fuck? What? Why would you play that uncensored for? You stupid asses! Stupid news people! What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? Sorry for my language, but what type of news station plays that like that? Who plays it unedited, or not unedited, uncensored? Who plays something where someone takes their own life like that uncensored? What the hell? don't play and begin with. Morons.
WPVI in Philadelphia aired the entire conference on their 5 p.m. Action News special. The footage has actually been available on YouTube for many years, but some uploads have been taken down due to violating the site's community guidelines. Obviously, I can't...
I mean, yeah, of course it will take down the community guidelines, because they're just showing them person's suicide. Like, yeah, obviously.
show any of it without the risk of my channel being taken down for doing so. I also won't tell you where to find it, but I can tell you that it is still available online.
I would say don't look it up, but there might be some weird people here who do. If you do, okay, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim, real name Herbert Boutros Corey, was an American musician born in 1932. Growing up in Manhattan, New York, he showed a love for music at a young age after his father bought him a gramophone and a recording of the Henry Burr song, Beautiful Ohio, which he would apparently sit and listen to for hours.
Long, long ago, someone I know had a little red canoe. It is room for only two.
He taught himself to play the guitar at age 6, and by his
Seems like a very interesting song for the time, I bet you. I bet you it was like one of the top hits of the time.
pre-teens, was extensively studying the history of the recording industry and its earliest recording artists. He continued this hobby his entire life, which led to him developing what many have described as an encyclopedic knowledge of music released between the end of the 19th century all the way up until the end of the 20th.
Oh, sly cigarette, oh, fine cigarette. Shut to the heart, and you're to blame. You give love a man. Play my part, you play your game. You give love a man.
After spending many years performing under various stage names in the New York area, he scored a big hit in 1968 with his rendition of the song Tiptoe Through the Tulips, which hit number 17 on the Billboard charts. Following this, there was quite a bit of demand for Tiny, with him becoming a regular cast member of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In.
If every car in the United States were painted pink, we'd have a pink carnation. I'd really rather tiptoe through the tulips.
And also marrying his first wife on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson to an audience of 20 million people. Unfortunately, this fame was short-lived. By the time the 70s rolled around, Tiny's fame began to dwindle. While he never stopped recording or performing, he received little attention in the US, but did maintain a fairly decent following in Australia.
That happens to any performer. There's some performers who just don't keep their momentum going. Post a certain time frame, their fame dwindles away. Not much you can, and unfortunately there's not much really you can do to fix that. You just have to keep pushing out stuff and just hope it gets to your momentum comes back. But you can't guarantee it, and that's the unfortunate part of music.
Over the years,
Or media in general. I don't know why I pretend like music. Movies do it. TV shows, anything can have that happen to them.
Tiny's frustration of being unable to revive his career and having 2 failed marriages led to him developing a very unhealthy lifestyle, namely a poor diet and a heavy drinking habit. On September 28, 1996, when Tiny was due to perform at the Ukulele Hall of Fame Expo at the Montague Book Mill in Massachusetts, he suffered a heart attack on stage just before he could begin playing. He spent 3 weeks in the hospital following this, during which time his doctor urged him to retire from performing due to his health, weight, and dietary requirements for his diabetes and heart conditions. However, he ignored this advice. On November 30th, Tiny was asked to perform at the Women's Club.
Listen to your doctor! Why do people ignore the doctor so much? The doctor is a professional. He's there for a reason. Sometimes, yes, you can prove them wrong, but most times they know what the F they're talking about. So at least consider it. Consider if they tell you not to do something. There's probably a reason they're telling you not to do it. At least consider it, please.
Club of Minneapolis. On his way into the venue, he stumbled while walking up the steps. He let his then wife Susan know that he wasn't feeling well and that he hadn't been taking his medication. However, he insisted on going ahead with the performance so that he didn't disappoint his fans. At the end of the show, Susan had noticed that Tiny was breathing heavy and that he had gone completely pale. When she asked him if he was feeling okay, he simply said he wasn't and collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital where doctors tried for over an hour to revive him but were unsuccessful. He was pronounced dead at 11:20 p.m. at the age of 64.
Wow. That is scary. To think that he just goes, that she just said, "Hey, are you okay?" And he just looked at her and said, "I'm not," and then collapsed and pretty much died. That is an insane final word for a man to speak. That, wow. I'm sorry, that took an effect on me. I know who the next person is because it's wrestling related because I can see the name. Man, this is... this one's messing me up, bro.
Owen Hart. Owen Hart was a Canadian professional wrestler from the legendary Hart wrestling family, which also included his older brother, Bret the Hitman Hart. Apart from being an incredibly gifted
Bret Hart, one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Owen Hart, also one of the greatest wrestlers in the world.
In-ring performer, he was also known for being exceptionally good on the microphone, being able to convincingly portray himself as a plucky underdog or an arrogant heel with ease. Outside of the ring, Owen was known for being a loving father and husband, and always made sure to set money aside for his family so that they'd all be able to live comfortably after he retired.
One of the most best fathers you will find in wrestling. Not many Mike did, but he's one of the best you will find. Guaranteed.
Hi, Owen. What you doing?
I'm just walking with my boy Oach here.
Owen was an amazing father. He loved being a dad. Hi, Owen.
He's best known for his time in the WWF, now known as the WWE, where he wrestled alongside other members of his family, his brother Bret and their brothers-in-law, the British Bulldog and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. In 1999, after the rest of his family had left for the rival promotion WCW, Owen was given a new gimmick known as the Blue Blazer, a bumbling superhero character.
It's not new, but it's new for that time frame. He's done the gimmick. He did the gimmick before in that time frame, but why am I doing wrestling corrections to a guy who's doing true guy? I'm just gonna stop talking about wrestling related right now because people are probably just like, just shut up, dude. I'm just gonna play a video.
Who would insist that he and Owen weren't the same person. On occasion, Owen would make theatrical entrances that would include him rappelling from the arena rafters, which would usually end with him getting stuck in a humorous fashion. Owen was set to make this entrance at the Over the Edge pay-per-view on May 23rd, 1999. Owen's wife Martha had expressed concern over the stunt, believing something could go very wrong.
So I actually asked on the phone about, who'd be rigging him, and the girl on the phone said, "Oh, don't worry, we have the top riggers from LA coming in, so don't worry about that. Yeah, it's totally safe." He never questioned ever his safety because he assumed that this billion-dollar company was certainly going to make sure that they hired the best in the business, which they did not.
The night of the event, Owen was waiting to make his entrance for his Intercontinental title match against The Godfather. He was it.
I don't know if it's ever been said, but I think he was supposed to win that. I don't know if it's ever revealed if that was the case or not. But again, I'm continue talking about wrestling. I will always pause the video and talk about wrestling. I'm sorry, it's just how I am. I'll keep playing.
The harness set up by the rigging crew and was connected to a rappel wire hanging from the rafters. While a hype package for the match was playing, the clip connecting him to the wire released, and Owen fell 24 meters.
I thought I heard screaming, and then I felt something brush against the side of my head and my shoulder, and at the same time, the top rope that I was holding pulled out of my hand and came back and jammed my fingers. And I'm thinking in my head, what the heck was that? And when I turned and looked, there was Owen. He was laying in the ring, face up, and I just started screaming for help.
Paramedics attempted.
I want to know I want to know the people in that building, in that arena, what the what they were going through. Because that's a scary thing to experience, dude. Imagine sitting there watching and then you see a guy fall to his death. Right in front of you. Like, that's scary. That's a scary thought. There's so many scenarios where I want to see a person's perspective from that. But I never, there's many scenarios where I want that, but I never will. And it doesn't bug me, obviously. But it makes me think, because I have so many questions.
To save Owen before he was taken to the hospital, but it was obvious to everyone that Owen was not going to survive. After 15 minutes, WWF chairman Vince McMahon ordered for the show to continue. An hour later, announcer Jim Ross announced to the audience watching at home that Owen had died from his injuries, which was internal bleeding caused by the blunt force trauma.
I have the unfortunate...
Why are they censoring this? Why is it not showing this? Just two guys.
Responsibility to let everyone know that Owen Hart has died. Owen Hart has tragically died from that accident here tonight.
It was later revealed that the clip used to connect Owen to the wire was designed to release with 6 pounds of pressure, meaning the WWF had lied to Martha Hart by saying that they had hired the best rigging crew for the stunt. Martha sued the company for the wrongful death of her husband, which was settled out of court for $18 million.
Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out here. So I'm just gonna say this because, you know, for people who see this, they might see a wrestling related thing and join, but they probably won't. If you're one of those people who are mad at Martha Hart or the Owen Hart Foundation for associating themselves with AEW, which is the current company going on that has Owen Hart, and they're doing a tournament in Owen Hart's honor. If you're one of the people who are annoyed that they're doing that because they're not doing it in WWE, one, get a effing grip, would you? Would you put, like... Because this person... Clearly Martha's not going to do nothing with WWE. They were single-handedly, if it was accident or not, their stupid choices caused the death of Owen Hart. Well, it wasn't on purpose, it was accident, but they caused it. She has a right to be mad at them. She has a right to hold a grudge at them. And because of that, of course, she's not going to associate with them. She's going to go to a place who treats the people with respect and cares and treats them fine. Yes, she's going to do that. I'm sorry that I'm ranting, but I saw Owen Hart Foundation and it erupted something in me because I see Twitter and wrestling fans on Twitter who are really arrogantly, ignorantly stupid and don't have any sense of brains at all, and I just had to get it out.
She used the money to create the Owen Hart Foundation in 2000, which is a charity that provides scholarships for children in need, as well as housing for low-income families. In 2020, in a documentary about the incident as part of the Dark Side of the Ring series, she stated that she has forgiven everyone involved with the events that led to Owen's death, but she will never allow him to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, saying that she will not allow them to make money off his name in such a hollow way.
Owen Hart should be in every wrestling Hall of Fame there is because of his talent and because he belonged there. But he's not in the Hall of Fame because his wife does not want him celebrated and glorified by the same company that took him away from her.
I would never allow for Owen to be recognized by a company that actually is responsible for his death.
Droz. Darren Droz.
Oh my god, we got another wrestling one. Oh my god, I feel like it's like my two things, true crime and wrestling coming together. And I'm making a beautiful thing for me to just rant on and make long videos, and I'm very happy with it. Thank you, my good friend.
Is a former professional football player and wrestler, best known for his time wrestling in the WWF under the name Droz. After spending a year wrestling in ECW, he made his way to the WWF in hopes of being signed. His first meeting with Vince McMahon was documented in the film Beyond the Mat, where McMahon asked Droz to display his ability to vomit on command.
Huh? Oh my god, he's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
Oh, man.
Upon being signed, Droz was added to the legendary Legion of Doom stable as its third member.
I feel so bad for Droz because he's so shite, really. He's pretty shite. What happens to him, and you'll find out when it reveals, is so freaking fortunate for the dude. I feel so bad for the dude.
Under the name Puke. During this time, he took part in a controversial storyline involving fellow LOD member Hawk's real-life substance abuse problems being used for entertainment purposes. Most notably, a segment where Hawk was threatening to jump off the Titantron, only for Droz to blatantly push him off rather than try to save him. After his stint with the group ended, Droz began wrestling as a singles star and was voted number 142 in Pro Wrestling Illustrated's 500 top single stars list.
What the hell? Even I question now. What? Okay. Maybe I need to watch more Droz. What am I on about?
October 5th,
What am I missing here?
1999. Droz was wrestling a match against D'Lo Brown for a WWF SmackDown taping at the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island, New York. During the match, Brown attempted a running powerbomb on Droz, but because Droz was wearing a loose shirt, Brown could not get a proper grip on him. Droz landed on his head and fractured 2 vertebrae in his neck. This occurred in front of a sellout crowd, though the footage of this incident has never been shown to the public.
We were just going to do a power.
Thank God for that. I don't want to see that. I don't want anyone to see that. That doesn't deserve to be out. Leave that in the darkness. Thank you, Vince, for not showing that to anyone.
Powerbomb. And he had powerbombed me before. When he picked me up, I don't know if I slipped or what, but I remember going back down. I'm like, this isn't right. I couldn't get my hands down really. And I just remember hearing crack, crack. And I just went, I just broke my neck.
Droz was rushed to the local hospital where he underwent hours of surgery to try and reduce the pressure around his neck. Sadly, the injury had left him a quadriplegic, unable to move at all below his neck. When he was being taken away on a stretcher, he told D'Lo Brown not to blame himself and that what happened was a freak accident.
I remember crying next to him, telling him I was sorry, I'm sorry, it should never happen. Droz going, it's okay, dog, it's okay. Nothing we could have done would have changed, it just happens. So, but he's a good guy, man. I still wish him the best last time I saw him. Neither of us, we've talked about it, we don't know what happened. Neither of us blame the other. Just one of those unfortunate accidents that happen.
Despite this, Brown has said that this was the darkest day in his life and has seemingly never been able to forgive himself for what happened.
Definitely not one of my brighter days, probably the worst day of my life. I'm talking in terms of wrestling in real life. And it could have been anybody in the ring with him that night. It just happened to be me. It happened to be my sad misfortune to be in the ring with him. And because of that, my man's paralyzed.
It is an unfortunate day, though, because it is an accident. It literally is an accident. Because D'Lo didn't do anything to cause him to be in that position. And Droz didn't do anything to put himself in that position. It just is a weird, unfortunate accident that happens. And it's insane because D'Lo and I sort of have a mindset, because even if I was in D'Lo's position, it would freak my head up to the rest of my life, because I would know that someone was paralyzed because something happened because of me somehow. Something happened either with me or something happened in that ring and I was there and it caused a man to be paralyzed. It would mess my head up. There would be no recovering, and that is scary as shit.
People ask me all the time, does that affect me? Hell yeah. If it didn't, I wouldn't be human. That accident not only affected me professionally, but personally. I was a whole different person.
Hayabusa. Eiji Izaki, better
Another wrestling one. This is ridiculous. This is insanity. It's like this was made for me. This channel's made for me.
known by his wrestling name Hayabusa, was a Japanese professional wrestler best known for his time in frontier martial arts wrestling, where he was considered to be the company's premier performer and the heart and soul of the company. After spending time wrestling in Mexico and developing his signature lucha libre style, he returned to Japan and wowed audiences with his high-flying moves, including his trademark Phoenix Splash and his finisher, the Falcon Arrow. Thanks to his popularity with
the Falcon Arrow, yes, the founder, the Falcon Arrow, my man.
Fans, he was awarded many championships, including 5 world titles. As stated before, he was considered to be the heart and soul of FMW, and it seemed nothing could stop his momentum. However, in 2001, his career came to a tragic end. On September 9th, in a match with Mammoth Sasaki, he attempted to perform a springboard moonsault from the middle rope, but lost his footing and slipped, which led to him landing.
Oh my god! 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 Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh. Oh. That's the first time I've ever seen that. That messed me up. I apologize. That messed me up. Oh my God, that made my body shake and everything. I'm so sorry for pausing and reacting like that. Wow. I'm just gonna let it play, but that might. Oh my God.
On his head. As the crowd watched, Hayabusa simply lay on the mat completely still, unable to move. The botched moonsault had caused 2 vertebrae in his neck to snap, leaving him completely paralyzed. Naturally, this ended his wrestling career, and FMW slowly folded after his retirement. Hayabusa did not let his disability stop him from staying involved with the wrestling business. He promoted a company for up-and-coming wrestlers called Wrestling's Marvelous Future, and also traveled to several WWE events to meet with the wrestlers backstage, and in 2015 was named an executive producer for the reformed FMW. By this time, he'd actually regained the use of his legs and could walk with the help of crutches. Sadly, on March 3rd, 2016, he died from a cerebral hemorrhage in his home and was found.
Oh no. Oh. Oh. Oh my God. This dude. Finally got use of his legs and had use of his legs in 2015, then it died a year later. No. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's what broke my heart, man. No. Oh man.
Found later by a friend. He was 46 years old. The Station nightclub fire. Great White are an American rock band formed in 1977. Between the 80s and early 90s, they gained fame thanks to their music videos having frequent airplay on MTV, most notably their biggest hit, Once Bitten, Twice Shy. This fame was short-lived, however, and their later albums failed to chart in the US, and they quickly faded from the spotlight. They would be in the news again in 2003, but for entirely different reasons. On February 20th, the band was performing at the Station nightclub in West Warwick, Rhode Island. The band opened the
I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna leave this for now. I know what happens here.
show with their 1991 hit, Desert Moon. However, just seconds into the performance, a fire began when the band's tour manager set off pyrotechnics that ignited some nearby acoustic foam on both sides of the stage. Initially, the audience thought this was part of the act, as the music video for Desert Moon showed the band surrounded by flames. However, once the flames reached the ceiling, concertgoers realized that this was not a controlled fire. The band seemed to be unaware of what was happening until the pyrotechnics stopped, at which point lead singer Jack Russell was heard saying, "Wow, that's not good." In less than a minute, the stage was completely engulfed in flames, with the band and their entourage fleeing the building through the west exit near the stage. But
this is another scenario, by what I remember, where staff and people caused this to get stupid people caused this to get way worse. Way worse.
This time, the nightclub's fire alarm had activated, and although there were 4 possible exits, most people headed through the front door through which they had entered.
No, there were people trying to get out other doors, but fucking security and stupid people wouldn't let them, because they're fucking idiots. They caused the problem more too.
The ensuing crowd crush in the narrow hallway leading to the exit quickly blocked that exit completely and resulted in numerous deaths and injuries among the patrons and staff. A total of 462 people were in attendance. Even though the club's official license capacity was 404, 100 died, and about half of the survivors were injured, either from burns, smoke inhalation, thermal trauma, or trampling. Among those who died in the fire were Great White's guitarist Ty Longley and the show's MC, Mike the Doctor Gonzalez. Longley is believed to have initially made it out of the building, but then re-entered in an attempt to rescue his guitar. Thousands of mourners...
Okay, if that's actually true, that guy's an idiot. I'm sorry, leave your fucking guitar. I'm sorry. I don't care what anyone says. That guy, if that's true, and the guy got out, but was so went back into a place that was on fire to get his guitar. Idiot. Sorry, idiot.
Attended a memorial service at St. Gregory the Great Church in Warwick on February 24, 2003, to remember those lost in the fire. 5 months after the fire, Great White started a benefit tour, saying a prayer at the beginning of each concert for the friends and families affected by the incident, and giving a portion of the proceeds to the station family fund. In 2003 and again in 2005, the band stated that they had not performed the song Desert Moon since the tragedy. Lead vocalist Jack Russell said, "I don't think I could ever sing that song again." A permanent memorial at the site of the fire has been erected and named the Station Fire Memorial Park. Dimebag Darrell.
Oh, this is another unfortunate one for this, because of what happened. This is unfortunate.
Dimebag Darrell Abbott was an American guitarist best known for being one of the founding members of Pantera, alongside his brother, Vinnie Paul Abbott. After a series of unsuccessful albums released throughout the 80s, the band's fortunes changed considerably after vocalist Phil Anselmo joined the group, with them becoming one of the world's biggest metal bands of the 90s, behind only Metallica. After 3 top 10 albums, including one debuting at number 1 on the Billboard Top 100, the band split up after the Abbott brothers claimed Anselmo had abandoned the group to work on his side projects. Anselmo fired back in a 2004 interview with Metal Hammer, saying Dimebag Darrell deserved to be severely beaten. This comment would end up foreshadowing what would happen to Darrell just a week later. After Pantera split, Darrell and Vinnie Paul formed a new band called Damage Plan, who released their first album in February 2004. They would spend the rest of the year touring. While performing at Bogart's nightclub in Cincinnati, Ohio in April, a man named Nathan Gale, a former Marine, ran onto the stage. While security was removing him from the stage, he toppled a lighting rig, causing $2,000 worth of damage. The band chose not to press charges against him. Gale was a Pantera super...
You should have, because what would have happened, it wouldn't have happened, what happens wouldn't have happened if he was in jail. It's unfortunate because they didn't know what was gonna happen, but it's obsession does the worst to the people.